Hello, welcome back to the channel where I'll be discussing all the Final Destination movies this week. We are at the point where I'm at part three, Final Destination 3. And I gotta say, this is it. This is what I expected. This is my cousins called it peak in terms of the franchise so far. So far, this is like the one that stood out the most to me. The acting went up, the directing went up. I feel like visually I think this came out '06. So like visually it's kind of up there. It doesn't really look like an older movie too much. Um some of the dialogue is still a little hokey, but dude, I feel like everyone really stepped it up in terms of their acting. There was really no like there's some cheesy hokey lines and dialogue and stuff like that, but I would never call anyone here like an overly bad actor. I think they did like a fine job, especially Wendy, who is played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, aka Ramona Flowers, which I thought was pretty cool. I didn't know that. Honestly, I just knew her from like it's hard for me to like distinguish her from like I just see Ramona every time she's on screen. She actually did a really good job in terms of her acting. I believed it once her boyfriend, I think his name was Jason, got killed on the roller coaster. And you kind of see her breaking down a little bit. I thought I really believed that. Believed it when she was freaking out about the premonition she had about the roller coaster, which was insane. Those premonitions be going crazy. This one, the thing gets jammed and goes off the rails, and that was insane. I think part three, like I said, part three so far has been my favorite. And full context, full disclosure, it's getting a lot hotter here in Houston, Texas, where I'm based out of. And I don't know if I was dehydrated or what, but bro, I took a shower after I finished uploading the review for the second one. I took a shower, got out. I just had a nasty headache. To the point where I was just like, man, do I even want to watch this? I'll watch it tomorrow. I'll watch the movie tomorrow, which is today, and then review it right after. And I was like, I kind of threw my schedule off. So I watched it in bed. I actually watched it on my phone. Shout out to, I was going to say Max, but now it's HBO Max again, which is so stupid. At first, I was kind of like, all right, what is this? Again, with like I said, the acting wasn't too bad, but the cheesy dialogue, I was like, man, what the fuck? I got to watch this shit. But it started kicking in, especially after the premonition. I kind of enjoyed the fact that like there's so much space between this one and the first one, which I feel like the first one and the second one were so like tied together. I think this one worked out a little bit better. Or I at least took it better because it's kind of like other than a mention of like, hey, it happened before. There's no real like super connection like that. There's no real like immediate connection, which I could appreciate, especially because like I think I have what, 3 more of these? So, I don't want this to end up being like a jigsaw situation where homeboy dies in like part 1 or part 2, and then he comes back in 4 and he's still there in part 6. It's just like it gets like it becomes like parody, and it becomes like overly ridiculous where I'm like, "All right, I don't even have any enjoyment in these anymore. It's just stupid." It's almost like Fast and the Furious type stuff where it's just like you guys are just making sequels just to do them, you know what I mean? It's just not even is a licensing thing or what, you know what I'm saying? Just not necessary. But yeah, we were introduced to Wendy and her friends. I think fellow students that are all at this carnival. I don't know if that's for a field trip or just kind of a them hanging out together, or they all decided to go to the same exact, just the convenience is crazy. But yeah, they're at this thing and they're at this carnival kind of thing, and there's a roller coaster that her boyfriend really wants to get into, and it's kind of messed up, man. I ain't gonna hold you because like the one thing that threw me off was like Jason, who was her boyfriend, who was Wendy's boyfriend, doesn't want to like. Why didn't he just sit with her? Because she was freaking out about like the ride. You know what I mean? Instead, he does kind of like they flip a coin, and then like Kevin, who's like they didn't even like each other, has to end up sitting with her. Which is I don't know. I mean I get why in the story later on, but it was just kind of silly to me in the first place. But yeah, as they're about to board the ride, Wendy sees this crazy premonition where a bunch of things go awire. Kind of the same thing we've experienced in the earlier films, where like there's a premonition. Then survivors come. You kind of know what it is at this point. Before I get into the story and things that happen in the movie, and I would definitely want to talk about some of the deaths. Um, Frankie Cheeks, Franklin Cheeks, who is like an alumni who's just hanging out there and is like the most out of whack. Like, I don't even know how to describe him. He's just like, first of all, he's a horn dog. You know what I'm saying? This guy is low key like, I even wrote on my nose that he's going to catch a case because he's just looming around people, being super creepy. He has a video camera and is just recording stuff and is trying to get like these 2 girls who we end up seeing being in the tanning bed later. He's like, yo, my God, flash me, come on, flash me for the camera. And it's so like dumb as hell because like they're like strapped into the roller coaster. It's like, bro, what do you want them to do? You want me to just like go topless? Then it's stupid as hell. But yeah, Frankie, a ridiculous character, but he is one of the survivors. You know, as they kind of leave, and the police are talking to her and going, "What are you on about? What are you got to calm down, like relax," because she is freaking out. And like I said, she was doing a really good job acting wise. The roller coaster totally crashes. We see the crash happen, and we see the remaining people on the ride totally die and perish. But yeah, understandably so, Wendy's kind of distraught, and she's kind of very like standoffish to people. The two girls that I mentioned earlier that were like getting harassed by Frankie invite her out to get tanning or to get a tan, which I guess was on the rage. I never really understood that. I guess maybe because I have like some melanin that like I never got the tanning stuff like that, other than like going to the beach and like I burn a little bit. I ain't gonna hold you, my shoulders get like a little burn, but yeah, I never got the whole tanning thing. But man, these two like airheads just kind of invite her out, which she doesn't really respond. She crumples their number up, and she's leaving. And then Kevin kind of tells her like, "Hey, back then, you know," he kind of brings up the Flight 180 thing, which I thought was pretty cool. Kind of like a little quick like, remember this for those that have been watching, especially me, because I feel like they know my pain that I've been watching these movies, which hasn't been a horrible experience. It's just been kind of like two was just so similar to the first one that it kind of just threw me off. But yeah, I appreciate that kind of like little canon, that little tied them tying that back into the broader story. But yeah, overall thoughts, I really enjoyed this. Like I said, some of the deaths, especially the tanning bed one, was wild, 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 wild. Homeboy blocked the door with sunscreen. I thought that was hilarious, but yeah, them getting just fried, absolutely fried, was crazy. And then them they always look dangerous in general. I'll be honest with you, like just tanning beds in general is not, like I said, I've always kind of been like, don't really need to indulge in any of that, so I won't. But yeah, last review I mentioned Eugene with the hairline that was kind of freaking out in the elevator. That kind of like became my favorite character of the movie. The first one was Carter, who wasn't really a favorite of mine. He was just it's so outlandishly like he's such a dickhead. But in this one, my boy Lewis, my man Lewis, who I just looked up. His name, he's played by like Texas Battle, I think is his name, which is a crazy name. Also, he's from Houston, Texas, so shout out. The actor who plays Lewis is hilarious. So real, just so fed up with like everyone shit, just doing his own thing. And honestly, it's pretty accurate in terms of people who like are high school athletes, especially like at the high level. They're confident, they're cocky, they know what they got going on. They got that scholarship on the way. They're already looking towards the future. Some of them, you know, not all of them, but some of them. Anyway, as I go to talk to Lewis about this, Kevin and Wendy are both kind of like, yo, like you need to be careful. This happened before. Think about it. He's working out, dude. And he begins to cut like a David Goggins. He starts channeling David Goggins and cuts a crazy promo talking about like he's already talking about like national championship titles that he's gonna win. He's already talking about Super Bowl rings. He's going on and on and on. He's just pushing. He putting in work. Putting in work. Like I said, it really reminded me of David Goggins. I started busting out laughing because it almost felt like it went into a pocket in the movie where he just started cutting these promos.
Get it, 17.
You don't know me, son.
Get it, 18.
You don't know me, son.
Get it, 19.
You don't know me, son.
Yeah, 20. You got some more in you.
But yeah, his head gets like destroyed by like this weight machine as he's cutting the promo, which I thought was pretty hilarious. But shout out to Lewis. My standout character I'd say standout. I don't know about a favorite character because he's like was saying some disrespectful shit to Wendy earlier, but you know, standout wise, he take it this movie. But yeah, I would say this is the one I would show people the most so far. Like I said, I have to watch 4 or the final destination tonight, so I'm gonna see how that goes in 5, which I haven't really heard too many good things about 4 and 5. At least from my cousin. My cousin told me those are kind of like where they fell off. So Jesus Christ, hopefully that's not the case because I've been enjoying them so far, and especially the third one yesterday. I was like, okay, cool. Like it totally like rejuvenated me from like me already being in a kind of a crappy mood, and then watching it, I was like, all right, this is like a legit fun movie. But yeah, guys, those are kind of my overall thoughts on part 3. Like I said, I don't want to keep these too long because I do have a lot more stuff to do, or a lot more reviews to do before I'm done with the franchise. I really enjoyed it. Honestly, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought part 3 so far has been my favorite, like I mentioned earlier. Creative deaths, camera quality went up, acting went up. Hopefully they keep this kind of trend. I'm curious what's going to happen with the Final Destination because it's kind of separated from all this. I think it came in like 2009 or 2010, something like that. And the Final Destination was a movie that I saw a lot on like a bunch of, I'll just be honest with you, allegedly, but a bunch of pirated sites. That poster with the skull and that has been, I remember seeing that so often, dude, especially like around the time of like The Hangover, Avatar. It would just always be on every like free movie site, 123 movies, all those kind of sites that are like supposedly aren't around anymore, but maybe they are. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, guys, that will do it for this review. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow with the Final Destination, which it already lost points. Just the name alone has already lost points. But yeah, I'll be that. And then Friday should be, what is it? Final Destination 5. They went back to numbers for whatever reason. Then the Bloodline one, I'll try to watch it Friday. I'm honestly gonna try to watch it Friday because it'll give me time to like space everything out. But if I have to watch 2 in one day, I wouldn't mind. If I have to watch like 5 and then go into the theater to watch the other one, I wouldn't mind it. Like I said, these are all like an hour and a half, so they're quick watches and it'll be easier to do. But yeah, guys, take care, be safe, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.